I see a certain shift in culture over the last 10 years, especially. A shift in culture that has made it more difficult for followers of Christ to be faithful and courageous in communicating their convictions to others. And I think that this trend is not going to get better. It's going to get worse. How do you, as followers of Christ, engage with your friends without fear? One thing that I see that helps me to be courageous is if I have some knowledge about some things, and the knowledge then gives me more confidence, and if I'm aware of some answers, that helps me. And also, if I have decided in advance about something important. They tell you first, you decide first before you go out there if you confront what you're gonna do, how you're gonna stand. Because that mental attitude of knowing in advance where you stand, how you act, that will help you to carry out when the circumstances are rough. Except for there was a change in our culture. And I think it was signaled by an article that Thomas Friedman wrote in the New York Times when the smoke was still billowing from the Twin Towers there in New York City. The article was called The Real War. And what he wrote there is that the real war that we're facing is not a war against terrorism. That's just a tool in this real war. The real war was against what he called religious totalitarianism. But Thomas Friedman lumped us all together as fundamentalists, and he didn't make the distinction between different groups. That Christian fundamentalists would likely pray for you, and that Muslim fundamentalists might kill you. No, they're all the same. And they also not only think we're wrong if you're a follower of Christ, they think we're dangerous. We're the threat. We're the danger. Thomas Friedman says the future of civilization may depend on how we fight this war. And in the last 10 years, I have seen a tremendous amount of hostility just coming out of everywhere. Why? What did we do? I never have it as a goal when I talk to people in conversations that I hope will lead to spiritual things. I never have it as a goal to lead that person to Christ. In fact, I don't even know if I'm going to get to the gospel. Now, why is that? Because I don't care if this person becomes a Christian? No, that's the most important thing. Because the gospel isn't important to that end. It is the power of God to salvation to everyone who believes. No, I believe in all of that. I just understand the nature of the circumstances in our culture now. Is that we can't just barrel forward with the simple gospel and effect we're going to make it and expect to make a difference. Things have changed. The easy pickings are over. Now we have to go more slowly. We have to listen more. We have to ask more questions. We have to do what we can do little bit by little bit by little bit. We're all on a team together and we're all doing our part. And so it isn't about harvesting everything every time we go out. For me, it's more about gardening, because you cannot have a harvest unless you've had a season of gardening, right? I just got a very simple expectation for any conversation. I just want to put a stone in people's shoes. I'm saying you could do something. If you make it as a goal to move people a little further forward, do a little gardening, and I don't know what that looks like in any individual situation. The Lord will have to help you find that out. And so I want you to think in terms of your game plan that what you're going to do is you're going to test the field, so to speak, to see if there's an opening to do some gardening by asking questions. How about these two questions? First one, what do you mean by that? Actually, I should say that again. What do you mean by that? That is, you draw other people out and find out their points of view. Why don't you just commit yourself this year to not arguing at all, but just asking questions to learn about their view? Here's another question. Once you get clear on what they mean, maybe you get clear on their own views, why not ask him, how did you come to that conclusion? Or what are your reasons for that? Now, these are model questions. You can use lots of variations. But the main thing is, and here's my game plan, I'm not trying to convert people. I'm trying to garden them, and we'll see what God does, okay? I do that by asking questions. I try to figure out what their views are and what they really believe, and I want to know why they believe it. That's it. I'm not swinging for the fences. I'm just getting in the batter's box. You use those two questions to get in the batter's box, then watch and see what God does.